Am I the asshole? I've spent the last 5 years being the punchline of every family joke. My name is Alex, and in my family's eyes, I'm a dropout. While my brother Mark finished law school and my sister Sarah is a star student, I left college sophomore year to focus on a little website I was building. To my parents, I'm just the guy who lives in the basement, wears hoodies to Thanksgiving, and probably doesn't shower enough. They think I'm barely scraping by on freelance gigs. What they don't know is that my little website became a massive SaaS platform that I sold for millions, and I now run a private equity firm from my laptop. I kept it a secret because I wanted to see if they'd ever love me for who I am, not what I have. For 2 years, I've been playing a dangerous, expensive game. I created a fake charitable foundation to anonymously pay off my parents' $400,000 mortgage and Sarah's entire $120,000 tuition. I even pay the property taxes through a lawyer. I thought I was being a guardian angel, but I was actually just funding my own disrespect. The breaking point happened last night at our early Christmas dinner. My brother Mark was holding court, bragging about his junior associate position at a mid-tier firm. He spent 20 minutes talking about his billable hours and his high-stakes meetings before looking at me with a look of pure pity. My mom sighed, patted Mark's hand like he was a war hero, and then looked at me. "Alex, dear, we've been talking. Mark is doing so well and we're so proud. But we're worried about you. You're 27 and you're still coding in the dark. We think it's time you move out and find a stable job, maybe as a mail carrier or something with benefits. We even asked our neighbor if they needed help with their landscaping business." My dad nodded, adding, "We can't support you forever, son. We're getting older and we need to rely on Mark now. He's the only one with a real future who can take care of this family." I sat there, staring at the expensive steak on my plate, steak that I had secretly paid for by donating grocery gift cards to my mom's church group. I sat there staring at the steak I secretly paid for while they told me I was a burden. The conversation got worse. Mark leaned back, swirling his wine like a movie villain, and said, "Look, Alex, I don't mind helping Mom and Dad out, but I can't be expected to carry your weight too. When I buy them that retirement cabin in Florida next year, there won't be a room for you. You need to start contributing to society." I almost choked. Mark hasn't even paid off his own car loan yet. I know because I'm the one who secretly bought out his debt from the bank so he wouldn't go into default, moving it to a shell company I own. I looked at my sister, Sarah. She was wearing a $2,000 designer coat I'd sent her for her birthday, claiming it was from a student giveaway. She chimed in, "Yeah, Alex, it's kind of embarrassing. My friends ask what my brother does, and I have to tell them you're between things. It makes the whole family look bad." That was the moment the guardian angel inside me died. I decided to test the waters one last time, giving them a final chance to be decent human beings. I said, "You know, Dad, I actually had a really good month. I was thinking of taking everyone on a 10-day cruise to the Mediterranean for your 30th anniversary. My treat, first class everything." The room went silent for a second before Mark burst out laughing so hard he nearly spit out his wine. "With what money, Alex? Your World of Warcraft gold? A cruise for 5 people costs 20 grand. You don't even have $20 in a savings account. Stop lying to make yourself feel better." My mom looked at me with that look of pure, agonizing disappointment. "Alex, please stop making things up to compete with your brother. It's pathetic. Just admit you're struggling so we can help you find a trade school. We just want you to be realistic." I felt a cold, sharp clarity wash over me. They didn't just think I was poor. They thought I was a delusional liar. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. I opened my business banking app and cleared my throat, my heart pounding in my chest. "Mom, Dad, you remember the Evergreen Legacy Foundation that contacted you 2 years ago? The one that told you that because of your community service, they were retiring your mortgage?" My dad frowned, looking confused. "Of course, it was a miracle from God. Why are you bringing that up? You had nothing to do with that." I turned the phone screen around and slid it across the table like a legal summons. It showed the corporate dashboard for Evergreen Legacy. The owner profile had my face on it. Underneath was a list of active beneficiaries. The first 2 names on the list were my parents. The third was Sarah. The fourth was Mark's debt consolidation. I watched the blood drain from my father's face as he scrolled through the payment history. 15,000 here, 30,000 there. 2 years of their lives, completely funded by the failure sitting in the basement. I watched the blood drain from my father's face as he scrolled through the payment history. The silence at the table was so heavy, you could hear the clock ticking in the hallway. My mom grabbed the phone from my dad, her eyes darting across the screen, her hands shaking. This can't be right," she whispered. "This says you've spent over $600,000 on us. Where did you get this kind of money?" I leaned back and crossed my arms, feeling a strange lack of emotion. "Actually, Mom, if you include Sarah's tuition and the interest I covered on Mark's law school loans, it's closer to $800,000. I didn't want the credit. I just wanted you guys to be happy and stress-free. I wanted us to be a family that didn't have to worry about money. But I realized tonight that while I was making sure you had a roof over your heads, you were using that roof to shelter your contempt for me." Mark was staring at the phone, his face turning a deep, ugly shade of red. He wasn't grateful, he was humiliated. Mark finally snapped. He slammed his fist on the table, rattling the silverware, and yelled, "So what? You have money. That doesn't change the fact that you lied to us for years. You let us feel like we were barely making it while you were a millionaire? That's sick, Alex. That's manipulative. You played us like puppets just to see us crawl." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The audacity was staggering. "I played you? Mark, I saved you from bankruptcy. I paid for the car you're driving right now. I gave you a life you didn't earn." My dad finally spoke up, but his voice wasn't kind. It was cold. "Alex, your brother is right. It's deceptive. You held this over our heads. You let us believe we were receiving charity from a stranger while you sat there judging us for being worried about you." I was stunned. I was the one being judged? I was the one who was deceptive for being generous? I stood up and took my phone back, my resolve hardening into ice. "You know what? You're right. It was deceptive. I should have let you lose the house. I should have let Sarah take out 6-figure loans at 8% interest. And I definitely should have let Mark's credit score tank so he'd never be able to rent an apartment, let alone buy a cabin." I opened the app and went to the Recurring Payments tab. My thumb hovered over the Deactivate button. My mom screamed, "Alex, wait! Don't do anything rash. We're just shocked. We're family." I looked at Sarah, who was crying, and then at my dad, who looked terrified now that the reality of the bills was hitting him. I told them, "Since Mark is the big success and I'm just a delusional kid in a hoodie, Mark can take over the mortgage starting January 1st. It's $3,200 a month. Oh, and Sarah, your spring semester tuition is due in 3 weeks. It's $22,000. I'm sure Mark can cover it with his real career." I walked upstairs and packed my bags in record time, throwing my life into 2 suitcases. As I was coming down, my dad tried to block the door. He wasn't angry anymore. He was pleading, his eyes watery. "Alex, son, please. We can't afford that. Mark only makes $60,000 a year. We'll lose everything in 3 months. We're your parents." I looked him in the eye and said, "Then I guess you should have treated your mail carrier son a little better while you had the chance." I walked out to my car, a high-end Tesla they thought I was borrowing from a friend, and drove away without looking back. By the time I reached my hotel, my phone was exploding. Not just from my parents, but from my aunts, uncles, and even my grandmother. Apparently, Mark had called everyone and told them I was extorting the family and threatening to make them homeless for Christmas. My own grandmother sent me a text saying she was ashamed of the man I had become and that money has poisoned my soul. Now I'm sitting in a penthouse suite in the city, looking at a flight to Tokyo for tomorrow morning. I've officially cut off all the payments. I checked the foundation portal. The mortgage payment for January has already been rejected by the system. My sister has sent me 30 texts apologizing, but I know it's only because she wants her tuition paid. My parents are calling me cruel for ruining the family's Christmas, and my brother is threatening to sue me for emotional distress, which is hilarious coming from a junior lawyer. They loved my money when they thought it came from a stranger, but they hated me when they found out it was mine. They wanted the gift, but they didn't want the giver. Am I the asshole for letting them face the consequences of their own finances? Or should I have kept being their anonymous ATM just to keep the peace? Because right now, I've never felt more alone. but I've also never felt more free. Am I the asshole, or did I finally just buy my freedom?